Here at Firefly, we're all about helping our agents succeed and grow their insurance agencies. This recording is of a webinar Jamie created to help you set up your EZLynx retention center. It's in a learning lab format, which means that you can follow along with Jamie and not just see what she's doing, but set up two powerful automations that will help you review your renewals, email your customers, and even automatically run quotes for you. If you follow these steps, you'll save yourself hours of time and retain more customers. Over to you, Jamie.
Thank you to everybody for being here today. I'm Jamie, one of the personal lines trainers, as I'm sure you guys all know. And this is our retention center webinar. Like I did the last one, if you were in the automation center for the welcome automation, just gonna kind of go slow, do it learning lab style so that everybody can follow along with me. If you are a standard package user and you're here just to kind of observe and see how Retention Center works, welcome. Super happy that you're here. If you have any questions after the fact, or if you need me to clarify anything on how Retention Center works, you can shoot me an email. Or if you decide you want to upgrade your package to the advanced so that you have Retention Center, you can also shoot me an email about that and I can get you in contact with the right person to get that process started. Um, so yeah, we will go ahead and just get started here. Everybody can see my EZLynx screen. If you're on the main login screen, the Retention Center on the left-hand side, the icon is the horseshoe. So you'll want to hover over the horseshoe for Retention Center and hit overview. And then that takes you into this screen where it's taking you into the world of Retention Center. So the first thing that you're going to see when you get in here is you'll have boxes up here that tell you how many renewals are in here and how many you received today and how many are closed today. So before I kind of dive into the rest of the navigation of Retention Center and how it works, I just want to point out that with Retention Center, it's really something that you are going to have to commit to going into every day and taking a look at, or start a workflow that works for your agency. So just on a consistent basis, whether that's going to be every other day, at the very least once a week. It's just something that you're going to have to get yourself into the routine of going into and looking at every day so that you're able to stay on top of it and that you don't miss something. Retention is going to be the biggest piece of your business, as you know, so you should be carving out time every day to spend on it so that you can get in here and use it to the full extent. And with Retention Center, it makes it really easy. And it allows you to be proactive with your renewals and your customers instead of always being reactive and having them call and say, I got my renewal. I want to be requoted. I want to be remarketed. It went up. It just kind of gives your customers the sense of you really being on top of it because you are reaching out to them before they even have a chance to get their paperwork on their renewal. So just some things to point out here across the top of the list of all the renewals that are listed in here. Obviously, this is the list of all the renewals that have come in. So as soon as that renewal download hits EZLynx, that policy for that person is going to pop in here into Retention Center. So if it's in here, the renewal has downloaded. Across the top, you have all these categories, and these are all clickable and you can sort. So typically I would probably sort by date just so that I'm looking at them in date order. You would want to get in and close the ones that are coming up soonest first, or address the ones that are coming up soonest first. My computer's been being painfully slow this morning, so I apologize in advance for that. So yeah, you can sort them by date. As you can see, you got this one coming up tomorrow and so on and so forth. You can also sort them by percentage change if you want to look at them in order of, who's gone up the most to the least. And then you can also sort them by risk, and it's either going to be high or low. And everybody just assumes that this is going to be solely the risk factor is going to be based solely on the percentage of change. It actually is not. Um, from going to AppliedNet the last couple years and talking with EZLynx reps, they actually have created a proprietary algorithm that they base it off of the propensity of that client to actually shop their insurance. So, yes, it does factor into it for the percentage increase. So, that's a part of it, but there are other factors that go into it that they've created that will make it a high or low risk renewal. So, that is actually something to pay attention to. Um, just knowing that it's not solely based off how much it went up or down for the price. Um, so if you're in here and you want to look at, like, let's say we want to look at Melanie Smith's renewal. So if you click on her name, it's going to open up her EZLynx profile in another tab. If you just click anywhere on that line, it's going to expand that renewal so you can take a look at all of the details. Going to give you all this information on the policy, carrier, premium change, effective date, expiration date, all of that. Shows the discounts that they have on the policy. And then from within here, you can click the difference report link. There we go. And it'll bring up this, what they call the difference report. And then it'll show anything that has changed highlighted in yellow. So version 2 was obviously last renewal. Version 1 is the current renewal that's coming up. So shows anything that is different from the last renewal highlighted in yellow so that you can kind of look at it, get a general overview of what might have changed or what might be the reason for the increase if they had one. And then it will also show activity notes, like the last few activity notes that have been entered in on the client's profile. They'll be here so that you can kind of see, like, for instance, this one wanted to decrease her premium, so she decreased deductibles so that you can kind of see if there's been a change recently that might have factored into whether it increased or decreased. So from within here too, you can also, if you hover over these little icons for the envelope or the text, you can actually click, they're clickable. It'll take you in to actually compose an email to that customer. If you have something that you want to just one-off email somebody some information on their renewal, same thing with the text. If you click that, it'll open the text to text that customer. Okay. So that is the each line expansion. Another thing that I want to point out here too is over on this side, these little icons, if you see the envelope with the little red not sign, that means there's no email for that customer. So, always a good idea to pay attention to that if you don't have an email for them and you can contact them to try and get it. That's always going to be beneficial to do that. If you have one that looks like the little trophy here, that means that you've designated that client as a VIP customer. So you can kind of quickly see as you're going through the list, like if you want to deal with your VIP customers first, make sure they get taken care of, that kind of thing. Also, if you see any of them that have a green check mark here, that means that they've been quoted already or quoted recently, probably within 30 days. I'm not totally positive on that look back period, but I'm pretty sure that it's probably been quoted within 30 days is what that. The other tabs up here are the expiration list and the expired list. So these are also extremely important to review for your agency every day. If you're going into the expired list, that's going to give you all of the policies that have already lapsed or have already expired without a renewal being downloaded. Um, so that can mean a couple things. It could mean that that carrier doesn't download an EZLynx, so they don't download, and you would have needed to manually go into EZLynx and edit that policy to renew it, by getting the information off of the carrier website, and that didn't happen for whatever reason, so it's already on the expired list. Um, could be that the download had an error of some sort and it just didn't come through. Could be the policy didn't renew. So definitely something that you want to go in and reconcile if you have anything in the expired list. And the goal would obviously be to try not to let anything hit the expired list. So that brings me to the expiration list, which is going to show any policy that is within 30 days of the renewal date and has not had a renewal download for that policy yet. So would want to go out to the carrier website, see what's going on with the policy. If it's a carrier, again, that doesn't download into EZLynx, which there are several, you would want to go in and edit that policy manually to manually renew it so that it doesn't show up on so you can close it off the expiration list. Um, could be a payment issue. Maybe they haven't paid yet and that carrier doesn't download until the payment policy has been paid. It could be an underwriting issue that you didn't get notification on and that customer has, some recs that they have to take care of before they're going to agree to renew it. So always, always, always be checking your expiration list and getting policies manually renewed if they need to be, or just reconciling it and figuring out, what's going on with it. Why didn't it renew? Once you have them, I'll do it on the expired list. Once you have reconciled it, you figured it out, you either manually edited it or you talk to the underwriter, talk to the client, whatever the case may be, you can close them out off of the list so that they'll be gone, that you don't have to worry about them anymore. You have the ability to check mark things individually over here. You also have the ability to bulk check mark them. And then once you have the ones that you need to close, you can hit action, close. Okay. And then they'll disappear from the list, ideally. But again, my computer is being very slow today. So that is the expired list and the expiration list in a nutshell. Again, very important that you do go in and review those and take care of any policies that might be in there. So for now, back to renewals. You do have the ability to filter things out over here on the left-hand side on this like light gray bar. Policy type, personal, commercial. You can filter them by risk, by status, carrier, line of business, change reason, any of that, any of those filters that you want to use, those are available to you over there. You do also have the ability to assign each of these lines, each of these renewals that come in to a renewal manager. If you're an agency that has multiple people, you can click here in this drop down and all of your people in your agency would show here, and you can click and assign each renewal to a different renewal manager. If you have different ones that you want different people to handle, you have the ability to do that there as well. This column that says days with the number of days here, a lot of people assume that is days to renewal. That actually is the amount of days that the policy has been on the renewal list. So, which means like this renewal downloaded 27 days ago. This renewal downloaded 50 days ago. Each carrier is different on when they download. But most, probably 90% of the time, your carrier download is, I would say probably 99% of the time, your carrier download is happening way before customer gets their renewal paperwork in the mail. So that's really handy to be on top of it. So if we're looking at an individual renewal in one of these lines, again, I just clicked anywhere on the line except for the name to expand it and open it up. You see here where it says loading quote results. I'm gonna try to kind of wait here a second to see if I can get those to load in. What it's going to do where it says loading quote results is going to show you the last time that specific policy has been run through the rater in EZLynx. It's going to show you the quotes that were returned the last time that it was done. So if you look at this one in particular, this auto was run through February 24th, 2022 was the last time it was rated in the rater. And it gives you what the quotes were at that time. So you can kind of just have a, general picture of what their rates looked like the last time you quoted it. Um, Another thing that you'll see within these lines is this button that says Get Quote, and this is the new automated reading feature that EZLynx has done. Um, it is actually a really great thing that they've done. A really great thing to have, a good option to have to be able to rate them right here from within EZLynx. So if you hit the Get Quote button, I will say this is something that is still very much a work in progress with EZLynx. So there is a very, very good chance that I'm going to get an error that's going to pop up here. Perhaps not. Once you hit it there, though, you'll see that it's loading to see if it's working.
And what it's doing, just real quick, Jamie, is if it's working, it's actually running quotes, right? Using the
Yes.
rater just with that one button. Okay, that's it.
Yep. So if you've hit that button and you got a pop-up that says that you don't have your templates created or there's no templates, I will get to that in a second here, because that is something that you do have to do before this is going to work for you. There are templates, quoting templates that you have to go in and create for auto and for home in order for it to work. So it looked like it was going to load, but I don't think that it did. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But yes, the idea, like Fritz said, is for you to be able to hit that Get Quote button and for new quotes to run through the rater in the background and for them to pop in right in here. So you can say, okay, I see that this person's premium increased by 19%. I hit Get Quote. Nothing's coming back more competitive than the renewal rate he's going to get with Hanover. So I know that I can just let them know that it's already competitive and move on. Um, I don't know if I hit this again, if it's going to work or not, or if it's just going to spin its wheels.
While we're
Okay.
waiting, we have seen that work though, right?
Yes, it does work. It does work. Um, my advice to you on the automated rating, as we'll get into the templates and kind of where you go to set those up and how to do it. It's not something that I can walk you through step by step because it's a process that takes a little while. It takes a little bit to set up, just getting all the questions answered and getting everything input. So it's not something that I can walk you through step by step. But once you get the templates in there, just know that it is awesome. It's very exciting and it's a huge time saver. But right now it is still very new and you are going to get errors and you might get it to where it's working 50% of the time, which you might think, oh, that kind of stinks that it's going to fail 50% of the time. But my thought on it and advice on it always has been, yeah, but it's working 50% of the time. So that's still 50% of the quote or the remarket quotes that you have in here that you didn't have to go out and manually remarket yourself in the raters. They just popped in here. So still saving yourself 50% of the time that you would have spent on remarketing anyway. But so this application error that you see here is a very common one that we get whenever we're using these. It says, please correct the application and resubmit. Click on the link below for more details. And if you click that link to the application, you can click it and see it's just going to pop you into the client profile and bring up the last application that was run in the rater. Right, Sandy? That's what it brings up when you click that? Yes. Okay. So that being said, I'm sure that a lot of you are wondering about the quoting templates and how you do that. So what I can do is show you how to get there and kind of in a general way how to do it. So if you want to set up your quoting template so that automated rating feature works for you, um, go ahead and you can hover over this little gear, your settings gear, and then the button here that says quoting automation, you click that. I'm going to open it in a new tab so I don't lose where I'm at here. It's going to bring you to a screen that looks like this. I do recommend that you watch this video before you set them up because it does give you a pretty good explanation of it. But you can you can start with auto and hit view. It'll bring you to a screen like this. Obviously, if you haven't created any templates, nothing's going to be here for you like this. So you would hit create new, name your template, which can be like just your agency auto template. And you want to select this template with EZLynx pre-filled values and then hit create. And then it'll bring you into this next screen. So you'll want to select all your states because you want it to happen for all states across all carriers that you have. And then you go into each of these individual tabs. All carriers, when you get over here on this carrier selection tab, you want to select all carriers. And then here's so backing up a little bit, you would want to go through all of these questions and make sure there is an answer for every single one that's in here. Even if it doesn't make sense to answer it, answer it. So, for instance, probably the answer to that would be no. Good student discount, student 100 miles away, good driver. Just make sure it has something in there because how these templates are intended to work is as the renewal comes into EZLynx, the automated quote that is going to be run or not run by you is going to pull all of the information that it can off of the information that downloaded in off of the renewal. If there are holes in that information on what the quote needs to succeed, it's going to pull that additional information off of these templates that are in here that you have created. So you want to pick like the most generic answer probably that you possibly can think of, but you just need to make sure that you have all of these questions answered. And that came directly from the people at EZLynx whenever we talked to them about this and we were at AppliedNet because we were saying, we're getting errors on this all the time. Like, what can we do to make it better? Are we doing something wrong? They said, make sure you have answers in for every single field in your templates, first of all, and then go from there because that's probably why it's failing out in a lot of cases. So when you get into this last tab where it says carrier defaults, you have to go into every single carrier and answer every single question. So, like you can answer the question and then hit apply to other templates so that it applies it to any of the other carrier templates, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that question is asked by any other carrier, if that makes sense. So you can hit that on the off chance that that's a question that comes up more than once in all of these carriers that you have to complete. But you have to go into every single carrier and answer all of the carrier questions. That's why I said this is not really something that I can walk you through, or, show you in real time because it would take an hour or more to get through all of these questions. But that is how you go in and create your templates. And then once you have everything answered and you have everything the way that you want it, you would just hit publish. And then that's what puts saves the template in EZLynx and allows you to submit it. So I believe it is in the retention center settings, maybe, or is it in the automated rating center settings? Once you create your templates, if you have questions about anything or if you have issues or, you can always shoot me an email and I can try and help you as best I can. If it's something that we need to get on and screen share for, we can do that. If you can book additional training sessions with me, for retention center, if it's something that we need to really dive into. But once you have templates created, you go into retention center, settings, and then over here in this automated rating tab is where you apply the template to the automated rating. Again, I apologize for the slowness of my computer today. So here's where they all get applied. And any template that you have, like see the one that I just created, the Your Agency Auto template, any template that you have saved will show here in these drop downs. And then you want to make sure you hit this button, the sync applicant details button, so that it'll sync any details on that specific applicant and then save. But that is the automated rating templates in a nutshell. Um, it is, like I said, a very kind of daunting process to get them set up. But once they're set up, they're done forever. You never have to do it again. It's a one and done. So then from here, just to kind of show you again, you can multi-select lines. Like if you know, like you're not going to mess with anybody that's low risk here and has a very small percentage increase, and you want to just go ahead and go through those and automatically close them out. You can multi-select them, actions, close. You can also, before you close them, if you're bulk selecting them and you know these are all low risk people who have a very small percentage increase. So you can multi-select and hit add note or task and see it brings up everybody that you multi-selected, and you can put low risk renewal client, renewal was low increase, low risk closing out of retention center. And then hit save, and that note will automatically then apply to all of these clients that you have selected. It'll be in the activity section of their profile, which is super cool to be able to bulk note the profiles like that, just so that you can see what you did with them on renewal. The other thing that you can do with the bulk select and the actions is hit send email campaign. In this instance, none of them have an email address, but if you did that, and at least some of them did, an email window would pop up to send an email through EZLynx, and you could just send them one of the EZLynx Insights pre-canned emails, like the generic renewal email that says generic renewal competitive, that just basically says, we saw your renewal came in, you're good to go to stay where you are this year. If you have any questions or any changes, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And then you can just send that email off. And then the last step would be then you could just close them out of here. And you can do the reverse with anybody that's a high risk that needs remarketed, or, that you're going to take a look at and go ahead and automatically remarket. You can send them the email and make the note that says the reverse. So another thing that I wanted to show you guys today with Retention Center is there are a couple automations that I highly recommend that you set up to help you out with this renewal workflow in Retention Center. So if you see up here in the top right-hand corner of your retention overview screen, there's a button that says Set Up Automation. So if you want to click that for me, it's going to bring up a new tab with Automation Center, and it's going to it takes you directly into the Retention Center related automation options that you have here. So the first automation that I want to show you how to set up is that it will actually close out low risk renewals automatically for you in your retention center. So you remember how a couple screens ago I showed you could just bulk select the ones that you know that you're not going to mess with and that you want to close because they're low risk, low percentage increase or decrease, and they're good to stay where they're at. So you can actually set up this automation that will do it for you without you even having to mess with going in there and closing them out. It's just a huge time saver. And then that way, when you go into Retention Center, you're only going to be seeing every day the renewals that need your attention. So you know that you're going to have to remarket them, or you're at least going to have to take a look at them and see, is this customer going to going to need a remarket, or have they had a huge claim or something that's causing it to, for an obvious reason, go up on the year. So the first step in this automation for you is going to be, you need to click this applicant added to the renewal list. So this is going to be your trigger for this one. You click it and it's going to bring you to this screen automatically. And here's where we would filter it down. So the filters on this one are actually really, really important. The first filter that I want you to add is policy type. So you're going to select policy type, and it's already automatically defaulted here to is and personal. So this is going to be just for personal lines because commercial lines works very differently. So the first one is policy type personal, and then you're going to want to hit the and button. And then the next filter that you're going to select is the risk filter. So down here, when you scroll down, you'll see these retention center applicant renewal filters. So you're going to want to select risk is low. And so there's going to be a third filter on this one. And this is where you kind of decide for your agency what you want this to be. Hold on 1 second here. You scroll down to the bottom and hit total percentage change. So I typically, you can do whatever you want as far as the percentage, but I would typically leave it at 15. So total percentage change is less than, 15%. So that means if a renewal downloads, going to pops into retention center, and it's a low risk, and the percentage increase is less than 15%, that's what the filters are going to do. It's going to recognize that these are the things that you're narrowing down on your trigger. You can change this to whatever you want, though. So if you would rather it be 10, if you would rather it be 5, if you would rather it be 0, you want to make sure that you look at anything that had any kind of increase, you can set it at 0. You can always go back in and change it at any time. Completely customize this to be any way that you want it. But this is just what I would recommend. And you can do it like this now for the sake of the example, and then save the automation and just not enable it if you know that you want to go back into it and mess around with some things before you actually enable it to start working. But once you have these 3 as they are now, go ahead and hit next. So here are all the options on things that you can have this automation do for you. So what I would recommend, just on how I would set it up, is I would have it send an email to the client to let them know that you looked at it, it's competitive, they're good to stay where they are, but to also let you know if there are any changes that need to be made to the policy. So if you get into the email templates, if you already have an email in templates that kind of already says that in your own way, you can use that. But there are these EZLynx agency insights emailed in here that are already created for you. So the one that would be good for this one would be the generic renewal competitive. And you can scroll over here on the right-hand side and see what it says. Also want to point out this from box here at the top, as far as from who you want the email to be from. If you have a custom domain that you created in EZLynx, you'll want to check this assign producer to be the from. So then once you looked over the email, you think it sounds good, you change it to the assigned producer if you have a custom domain. If you don't have a custom domain, you can just, your Firefly email address should be listed here and you can use that. Go ahead and hit save action. And then another step that I would add to this, just because coming from a service background, we make notes about everything, as you should. I would do a note in the file that just says low risk renewal 15% or less, and then just put renewal was low risk 15 or less than 15% increase. closed out of RC. And then save action. That way, if when you go into the file, the customer calls and says, they want remarketed for some reason, you can see in the notes that you had this one automatically closed out of retention center with the automation. And then the last step that you would add to this one is close applicant in retention center. You hit that button, this is what pops up. You can leave it at day 0 and then hit save action. So what this means then is the low risk renewal, less than a 15% increase. As soon as it hits retention center, as soon as that renewal downloads, it's gonna send your customer an email, create a note in the file, and close that applicant out of retention center. So you will effectively never see it. It's just gonna go away, it's gonna close, and the note will be there, the customer gets their email, and you're good to go. So then you're gonna wanna hit next. I do wanna point out too, though, there are extra options you can add to this automation, just like the welcome automation, completely customizable. So you can not do all these steps if you don't want them. You can add any of these steps to them if you want to. Go ahead and hit next. Name it low risk renewal automation. Copy and paste the same thing in the description because it won't let you save without a description. And it's automatically going to be toggled on to enabled. If you want to disable it for the time being because you want to go back into it and look it over, or aren't sure about the percentage increase or whatever, you can disable it for now and then hit save workflow.
Jamie, I'll just chime in real quick and say for the agents who are listening that to me, what's really cool about what you've just shown is that not only can EZLynx do this where it shows all those renewals and the risk, high, low, and all that kind of stuff, but if you preset those thresholds that you're good with, it can make contact with that customer for you, make a note of it in the file so you know it's there,
Right.
and really save time in multiple ways so that then you can focus on the ones that you say, okay, I got to go and requote these.
Right.
Um, and so anyway, it's just an example of how that adding that little bit of automation to it takes an already useful screen and then does, some percentage of that work for you already. So to agents who are paying attention, just that might be worth rewatching that section just to see how to do that because it's like having a person there, paying somebody to say, would you go review the ones that have a rate increase less than this and send them this email and make a note, except it's already just included in your EZLynx cost. It's pretty amazing.
Right. And it makes it a lot less overwhelming when you go in every day and look at that retention center because all the ones that don't need to be in there are already out of the way. And you can focus on all the ones that are on that list because you have to at least look at them, most likely remarket them, and then get with the customer. And I did in one case had an agent that said, I didn't know EZLynx did this. This is actually going to probably save me from having to hire somebody because this
Yeah.
is the kind of thing that I've been doing that I'm just getting overwhelmed and trying to manually manage this process. And I was honestly thinking I was going to have to hire somebody and I didn't know EZLynx did this. And now I probably won't have to. So it's just something to think about. If you can automate the stuff and put time back in your day to do other things that are going to make you money, or you can, make connections with people and sell policies. It's such a useful tool to have. I just can't
Yeah.
say enough good things about Retention Center.
Yep. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. So now we're going to create the automation that is the reverse of the one that we just created. So we're back in, you can back over to the Retention Center, hit setup automation, going to bring you back to this same screen that we started with the other one. And you want to hit applicant added to renewal list again. So again, we're going to hit add filter. We're going to filter out the policy type. Type is personal. And we're going to filter the policy risk. So then we go down here to risk, and it's going to be risk is high. And take this drop down to percentage change. And for this one, you would want to do is greater than or equal to, because the last one that we just did is less than. So you want to make sure you're encompassing all of the percentage risks. So for this one, it's greater than or equal to. Make sure you select that. And then 15. So you want to keep it the same as whatever you did for the other one. So if you chose 15, do 15 again. If you did 10, do 10 again. So once you have type personal, risk high, total percentage change is greater than or equal to 15%. You go next. Going to do the exact same steps except for the email that we send out. So we're going to send email. Again, if you have a template saved in here for your people that have seen an increase and that you're going to remarket them and be in touch, you can use that here. The EZLynx Agency Insights already has one for generic renewal in progress. We're in the process of reviewing to make sure they remain competitively priced. Once we have had a moment to review the renewals, we'll be in touch with you and following up. So again, if you have a custom domain, change this from to the assigned producer selection. So once you have your email in there, says what you want it to say, you hit save action again. And then hit create note. Do high risk. Or you don't have to create a note on this one. Again, I just better to always note everything. High risk renewal. So renewal is high risk with increase 15% or more. And then the last step that you want to add to this one would be to hit this execute automated quote. And you can add this step to the automation without having your template set up yet. It's just not going to execute the automated quote until you have your template set up. So it's not going to hurt anything on your automation by you having that step added before you have your template created, if that makes sense. So you can go ahead and add that step, or you don't have to, but that's the great thing. The other great thing about the automated rating feature is if you have this step added to your high risk renewal workflow automation, you don't even have to hit that get quote button in there. When you go in, if you have this step done and your templates are done and everything's set up and working correctly, when you go in and you expand on that line like I showed you, the quotes are already going to be there. You won't even have to hit the get quote button. The quotes that you'll see on the top are the ones that have recently been run. As soon as the policy hit the renewal list, and then underneath it'll show the old quotes of the ones that were last run. So that's the other great thing about the automated rating is you don't even have to hit the get quote button. You can add it to the automation and it's just going to run overnight. When it comes through, the download comes in, the renewal hits retention center. It's going to shoot out that email, put a note in the customer's file, and then execute that automated quote for you so that when you go in the morning and start looking at them, anyone that's in that renewal list, is a high risk with an increase, and they're going to want remarketed, and hopefully about half of them at least have the quotes already in there for you to look at because they didn't air out for some reason. So you can add that step to this automation before you have your templates created so that it's already done. When you get your templates in there and you apply them, then it should start working the way it's intended. So you can go ahead and hit next then. And then
While you're finishing that up, Jamie, I'm just going to say what a great way to save time. Because as we saw, and when you run EZLynx quotes, it does take a little time for it to go do its thing behind the scenes. So to be able to come in and sit down in the morning and see what it has come up with already again, versus having to go back and click and say, get quote, why not do that, right? And it'll at least give you a head start on that requoting. That's really cool to see.
Right. So high risk renewal, put in the description, disable it for now if you want to go back in and change it and look at it, or you can leave it enabled if you're good and you just want it to run. Your agency name should be defaulted, and then you hit save workflow. So then you will leave here today with 2 working automations that go along with your retention center. That you can work on the automated rating. I do want to reiterate the automated rating feature is not perfect. You are going to get a lot of errors. Please try not to get frustrated with it. I understand that, as Americans in this technology age, we want everything to work. We want it to work right. We want it to work now. But this is something that EZLynx is working on. We're going to continue to work on. Only going to get better from here. So try not to get frustrated. I know it is extremely frustrating, as Sandy and I know we've been working on this stuff at Retention Center and the automated rating. It can get really frustrating at times when it's not working. But again, even if you can get it to work 50% of the time, that's still half of the renewals that you don't have to mess with, that you prior to that would have had to go in, manually run it through the rater, see what quotes come back, and do the whole thing. So just try not to get frustrated with it. I understand. I've been where you are, and I understand that it is very frustrating at times. So just try to be patient with it and give it some time. EZLynx is really great about always innovating and doing new things and working on things and trying to improve. So they are working on it. They do hear you whenever it comes to these errors and stuff. Just try to be patient and not get frustrated. Um, that's really all that I have as far as the retention overview, like what I wanted to go over. So now I think we can go ahead and open it up for questions. If anybody has any specific questions they want to ask. Sandy, has anybody put anything in the chat that needs to be addressed up to this point that you weren't able to address?
Not that I can see, but now is a good time if anyone wants, like Jamie said, if anyone has any questions or might want something reshown to them, now would be a good time to bring it up in the chat.
Looks like
So
it's
yeah.
Bruno's got a couple questions.
So Bruno, does the system use the car info in EZLynx, or system's gonna the system is gonna pull the car info off of the policy renewal information that downloads in to EZLynx. That's what EZLynx told us. It's gonna pull any of the information from the renewal that downloads. So essentially, that is the information that's in EZLynx, like from the download that comes in for the policies. So it's going to pull off of that. It'll pull off of the renewal information that's downloading in. What about commercial? So you do have the ability to review commercial renewals in here. Highly recommend you do that. The reason I didn't set up really any the commercial works exactly the same. Everything's going to look exactly the same. It's just going to be that you can list your commercial renewals, or you can do them all at the same time if you don't want to do them separately, but it all works exactly the same. I didn't create any automations for commercial renewals because the information that you need to get out to clients on commercial renewals is oftentimes vastly different from personal lines. So I don't really deal with commercial lines, so that's not really something that I can, train on or speak to. So that's why I didn't really go over any of that. I mean, the commercial stuff here, but just know that commercial lines policies are included in Retention Center, and you have the ability to review them. See, like if you filter out to commercial and see there's one in there, you can review them just like you would review a personal lines uh, policy in Retention Center. Hope that answers your question. Yeah, so Bruno said it's using the old info. Yeah.
I've had some familiarity with Retention Center, but it's pretty cool to see it and to really kind of comprehend the time savings of choosing your threshold, having the messages sent and them taken off the list, choosing other thresholds and having it automatically try to run a quote for you. There really are hours and hours and hours of important work that EZLynx can save you. So, or if you did bring on somebody to do some work for you, boy, the work they'd be doing could be much more meaningful, right? Than just doing the parts that can be automated, let them talking with customers and that kind of thing. So I guess I'd just say to the agents, if you have a Retention Center, if it were me, those are things I would absolutely want to give a try and see how they work. So my encouragement to others is to do that. And if you need help, like Jamie's already volunteered, you could contact her and say, hey, having trouble with this automation, or, whatever snag or hiccup you might run into, or if you're wondering, could it do this other thing with some of the automations in there, to ask, because we'd love to learn along with you.
Absolutely. If you like Fritz just said, if you need anything, have any specific questions, shoot me an email. Um, and I do offer retention center, automation center trainings one-on-one. So if that's something that you're interested in, email me about that. I'll send you my booking link and you can set up some sessions with me to go over it one-on-one, and I can do it, along with you. You share your screen with me. I show you where to go, what to do, and we can set up exactly what you want as you want it. So a lot of people find those to be very helpful because, at the end of the session, you have things set up that are going to be working for you. And then you usually don't have to mess with them once they're set up, unless you want to change something. They're just going to be running automations. Or if you need to learn more about retention center or want to dive more into that, we can do that as well. So just shoot me an email if you're interested in something like that as well.
I will add, just from a service perspective, it is extremely helpful to have an automation set up through Retention Center to email. Jamie had set one up for our customers to email out a link to Client Center, which has been extremely helpful because they can review their own renewals at that time. It looks like it's coming from you, so there's a really personal touch to it, and it literally just does everything for you. So that is one thing I would definitely recommend. It will be a huge time saver for you.
Absolutely. And you have the option in the automations, um, to in the section about the email, like you can have uh, just copy and paste a link to your client center in the email so that you kind of draw their attention back to that, so that they
Yeah.
can that it'll like Sandy said, it'll show or should show the renewal deck pages in client center whenever they log in there to look at them then. So, and the advantage to that is, like I said before, that's gonna be likely way before they would get it in the mail, or get, if they're on paperless, get the email that says their renewal is ready to view within the carrier website. So it kind of gives the illusion that you're really on the ball, because a lot of customers assume that, as the agent, way ahead of time, like way before they do, what their renewal rate's going to be, which, as we know, is not usually the case. But with Retention Center, it kind of is. Like before, you're just kind of going by when the customer calls and says they got their renewal, unless you're stalking the carrier websites on a daily basis and, waiting for the renewal information to come in. You don't know. So Retention Center gives you that information sooner than you would have gotten it before, and kind of gives you a leg up with the customer, you know, that makes them think, wow, they know what they're doing. They are on top of it. They've got my back. But with that, we are at 12 o'clock. I hope you guys got a lot out of this Retention Center webinar.